Not much.
Where you been?
Yeah, exactly. He didn't zap you any heat down there? Captain Quirk should have taken care of that. Welcome, and thank y'all for coming to visit all of us in the Hook and Laddie Cemetery tonight. Appreciate it. I'm John Ehret, and I suppose I was asked to speak to you tonight because I was the first mayor of Gretna when it was incorporated in 1913. I was born here in Gretna in 1858 to Margaret Goyer and Casimir Ehret. They're buried here too, but they're over in the older part of the cemetery. I lived in Gretna all my life, and I continued to do so right here without living. I married Selena Steinbrum, and we had 9 children. 9 children. Bless my little Selena. One of our daughters flipped the switch that gave Gretna electric street lights in 1950. Boy, that was an exciting evening in Gretna in those days. People were running around and shouting, even louder than Larry would shout. But they were having a big time. They even fired a cannon off in front of the Jefferson Parish Courthouse, which today is Gretna City Hall. Now, I started my professional career. I worked as an agent for the New Orleans Brewery Company for over 30 years. I was vice president of Gretna Exchange and Savings Bank, and I was also vice president of Jefferson Ice Company. They wrote an article that included me in some of the facts that I was the man to know in Gretna because I had control of all the ice and beer. One of the more appreciated statements was a colleague of mine who said that I knew how to blow the foam off the top of any financial proposition. Now, I wasn't the first politician in my family. My father, Casimir, was a commissioner for Mechanicseham in the 1870s. Then I came along in 1896, and I was elected to the Jefferson Parish Police Jury. And I served in the police jury until 1913, so 1896 to 1913, when I became mayor of Gretna. Now, I don't know if you knew it or not, but the old police jury was equivalent to today's parish council. Then in 1920, I was elected assessor for Jefferson Parish and stayed through 3 terms and died during my 3rd term in office. My son Casimir was elected alderman for the city of Gretna in 1919 through 1921. During the remainder of his short life, he worked in the assessor's office as deputy assessor. He died at the young age of 43, and I made it to the ripe old age of 72. Now, getting to the political portion of how Gretna came about and what a wonderful little city we have today. In 1911, we formed a group called the Good Government League, popularly known in Gretna by the citizens as the Goo-Goos. In 1912, we petitioned the governor to incorporate the first 3 wards of Jefferson Parish, and we were granted the acceptance in 1912. And in 1913, I resigned my job as a police juror to become the first mayor of the village of Gretna. The village of Gretna. About 3 months after that decree by the governor, the aldermen voted to annex in McDonoughville, and bingo, we had enough residents to become a city. So McDonoughville was annexed into the village, and then we became a city. So what we're celebrating this year is the 109th anniversary of the incorporation of the city of Gretna. Now, the span of my political career was an interesting one. It wasn't exactly like the Wild Wild West, but sometime it got pretty close to that. As I was coming out of my home on Newton Street, someone was lying in wait for me. And if it hadn't been for a good friend of mine, Mr. Cook, I would have been shot. So politics in Gretna has been very interesting. Now, the Ehret name, even after all these years, is known because there's a high school and a street named in my honor, and I was very thrilled to know about that. One of my favorite pastimes, I was like hunting. I really enjoyed hunting. Now, I had a camp down on the bayou, but there wasn't any better place to go hunting than in the back of Gretna over here. Now today, I understand y'all have something called the West Bank Expressway, and there's houses and businesses, everything in my old hunting grounds. I really was disappointed in that. Another one of my favorite pastimes, and y'all say, "Ooh, that's a weird dude." But I had this big barber chair in my front room, and I love to sit in the barber chair and just look out the front window and look down Newton Street and just enjoy the morning. Good cup of coffee in my barber chair. I wish I had it up here now. Prop my feet up. I understand y'all have a 3-term mayor right now. Mm-hmm. And it's a lady. Mm-hmm. Whoa. Well, it only took y'all 100 years to get that, huh? Congratulations, Miss Belinda. Well, after all these years, it's still such a great place. And we had asked all of our citizens to try to keep this as great a place it was when I used to live here. Well, that's a little piece of my past. Thank y'all for coming by and visiting with us, and y'all have a good evening. Your tour guide will take you to the next great citizen of Gretna. Good night and God bless.
And I'd like to introduce Mr. Peter DeBrock. He's also a member of the Gretna Historical Society. And he has been an actor for 7 years. This is his 7th year acting for us.
Thank you.
And he does a fabulous job.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
I think